These are this afternoon's top stories. Prime Minister Harris encourages citizenship by investment workers to strive for excellence. International Narcotics Board of United Nations releases 2014 annual report, and schoolgirls still missing 1 year later. Good afternoon and welcome to ZIZ's Midday Newscast. Today is Thursday, April 16th, 2015. I am JD Keynes. Nationally, Prime Minister the Honorable Dr. Timothy Harris, who is the minister responsible for the Citizenship by Investment CBI program, has urged employees of the Citizenship by Investment unit to exhibit the highest standards of professionalism, confidentiality and service. Dr. Harris's comments came when he addressed the staff on Tuesday evening at their office. He told employees that the CBI program was critical to the quality of life of the people and therefore urged them to strive for excellence, be sensitive and professional to those who seek service. Dr. Harris has been spearheading efforts to reform, restructure and reposition the CBI program as a model of transparency and accountability that surpasses the expectations of the international community. He said his government has been working well with the governments of Canada, the United States of America and the United Kingdom to ensure that the country's practices are such that minimize, if not eliminate, risks of unsavory actors participating in the program. Today, Thursday, marks the start of a crime, greenhouse technology and a leadership workshop, which is being organized by the St. Kitts Agricultural Youth Forum. The two-day workshop was preceded by an opening ceremony at the University of the West Indies conference room. While the ceremony was punctuated with remarks by several stakeholders, the country's Agriculture Minister, the Honorable Eugene Hamilton, delivered the featured address. Other notable speakers were Education Minister, the Honorable Sean Richards, and representative of the Inter-American Institute for Cooperation and Agriculture, IECA, Augustine Merchant. We'll have more on the workshop in a subsequent newscast. The Nevis Blues Festival gets underway this evening, Thursday, at Orly Beach. Tonight's concert, the first of its kind in Nevis, will feature performances by Cultural Expression from 7 p.m. and Greenhouse from 8 p.m. The international headliners Ian Siegel Band and Zach Harmon are expected to thrill the audience from 9 p.m. They will be followed by the New Vibes Band. Yesterday, our cameras spoke with two of the festival's international performers, Zach Harmon and Denise Gordon, who said they are excited to be performing on Nevis. The festival will continue on Friday and Saturday at 7 p.m. nightly. Regionally, the International Narcotics Board of the United Nations, INCB, says the geographical location and weak governing institutions of the Caribbean continue to pose significant challenges to the fight against illicit drugs. The INCB released its 2014 annual report this week. The director of the Substance Abuse Advisory Council Secretariat says the challenges are many and the assistance inadequate to make a major dent in the situation. Here's that story.
The 2014 International Narcotics Board of the United Nations report makes it clear that drug trafficking-related crime and violence in the region has escalated in recent years, raising the drug issue to the forefront of U.S. foreign policy concerns. The institution's annual report for 2014 indicates that the Central America and the Caribbean region continues to be exploited by local gangs and international organized criminal groups as a transshipment route for illicit drugs from South America destined for North America and Europe. Director of the Substance Abuse Advisory Council Secretariat, Cyprian Yard, says the report's emphasis on the relationship between drugs, gangs and violent crime must not be ignored.
Says to us that our region is a very particular region in terms of the low border securities, and the fact that we are small island states surrounded by water, easy access points and so on. Increasingly, we are seeing more violent action within our territories, and of course the assistance that is given to us is totally inadequate so for us to be able to counteract those issues.
With insufficient funds to tackle the issue head-on, Yard says the focus of the mission must be shifted to finding ways to tap into the resources of the UN for program support.
Well, there are a number of different program areas that we are looking at. And for example, we're looking at increased security issues. How do we improve our border surveillance systems? How do we communicate border protection systems with our neighbors, because we have quite a significant number of small islands in the region. We have to look at the common approaches from CARICOM level.
The report lists security challenges associated with the drug trade, money laundering, corruption, and other illicit activities as pressing issues for countries of the region. It also touched on the topic of marijuana, stating that while the production of cannabis in some countries is small and primarily for local consumption, Jamaica remains the largest illicit producer and exporter in Central America and the Caribbean, accounting for just about 1/3 of the cannabis produced in the Caribbean. It also noted increased production of the drug in other countries, including Dominica and St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Alison Kentish, HTS News Force.
Finance ministers from the OECS say they have taken bold, decisive measures to create jobs and boost the economies of member states. That was the announcement by Chairman of the Eastern Caribbean Central Bank, ECCB, Dr. Ralph Gonsalves, when he addressed the ECCU on Tuesday night. Here's that story.
Chairman of the ECCB, Vincentian Prime Minister Dr. Ralph Gonsalves addressed citizens of the sub-region on the theme, strengthening our currency union and securing our future. He told his audience that the economy of the OECS grew by an average of 1.1% in 2013 and 1.3% in 2014. He also said the sub-region's economy was projected to grow by 1.4% in 2015. It's positive news, but tempered by what the chairman says are ongoing challenges.
Our economies continue to face challenges to sustainable growth, fiscal and debt sustainability, and financial stability. The Monetary Council desires to see fast economic recovery and stronger job creation, more jobs, and enhanced wealth creation.
The Monetary Council has decided to lower the minimum savings deposit rate across the Eastern Caribbean Currency Union from 3% to 2%. With this move, the Council is hoping that some of the bank's costs will be reduced and the financial institutions will in turn provide more credit on better terms to customers.
Our banking system has a lot of money, excess liquidity, yet credit to the private sector, that is to say the new loans to the private sector, they're declining. Credit is declining. New loans declining. Last year, credit declined by 4.5%, despite the fact that the banking system has excess liquidity. Declining credit to the private sector makes economic recovery slower. This situation has to change.
Dr. Gonsalves says non-performing loans in the banking system are very high, averaging 18.8% across the ECCU. The ECCB chairman also announced the establishment of 2 entities to ensure that deposits are safe. They are a deposit insurance fund and an Eastern Caribbean Asset Management Corporation. Another big decision taken at the ECCB meeting in February was the extension of the timetable to reduce the sub-region's debt-to-GDP ratio to 60% from 2020 to 2030. Dr. Gonsalves says the additional decade is needed as there has been little to no growth in the ECCU for most of the past 5 years. Alison Kentish, HTS News Force.
Internationally, a year after nearly 300 schoolgirls were kidnapped by terror group Boko Haram, efforts to rescue them and keep their plight in the spotlight are dwindling. Here's more.
In Nigeria today, students carried the names of the 219 kidnapped schoolgirls still missing.
Bring back our girls, now and alive!
A year after Boko Haram militants seized them from their boarding school at gunpoint. Grace is one of the lucky few who escaped. The 18-year-old who did not want to be on camera says she ran from her captors, hiding in a nearby village. She's in Oregon now at a private school on scholarship. Last year, reaction to the kidnappings was quick and global. The Bring Back Our Girls campaign went viral, spearheaded by some big names. But millions of tweets then have become just thousands now, while Boko Haram continues to attack, kidnap, and kill.
Just last week I spoke with someone whose town had been raided by Boko Haram. They'd rounded up all the young men and executed 27 of them.
Fighting Boko Haram is tough. Nigerian forces have failed to stop them. These special forces have been undergoing intense training. Last May, we joined Cameroon's special forces on the Nigeria border. In December, Boko Haram attacked this same unit. 7 of these soldiers were killed. On this anniversary of the kidnappings, campaigners are hoping to raise awareness again. Nigeria's new president today vowed to continue the fight against Boko Haram, but admitted he couldn't promise that the missing schoolgirls would ever be found.
For each ferry that leaves Calais laden with cargo, it is impossible to say how many stowaways have boarded. Many will deliberately disappear once they get to the other side. Al Jazeera's Phil Lavelle reports from Calais.
Before dawn, they're out looking, hoping to find a lorry to sneak onto, bound for Britain. First light brings the first attempts of the day. Some will get through, most fail and return to camp, but they will be back tomorrow. It's not much, but it's home, at least for now.
It's horrible. It's too bad.
Iskander doesn't want to show his face, but he will show us his tent. Day after day, he lives in this slum on the edge of Calais. The dream is to smuggle himself to the UK. He's tried 5 times this week already. But to achieve it, he has to contend with the nightmare that is this new camp. There are no other options.
In my life, it's first time I have faced this kind of problem. It's just like Africa or somewhere is the jungles. It's life of jungle. What we are eating, it's not a normal human being eating like this. We cook here, everything go in our dishes. We don't have enough water to wash our bodies. I have washed my body after 1 week.
This was the jungle, as the migrants who used to camp here called it. It is deserted now, cleared out by the authorities who have directed all inhabitants to this patch of land, bringing them together in one place. Though not under one roof, only the luckier ones have those. Welcome to what they now call the new jungle. Same people, same goal, same problems. This camp is flanked by a busy motorway. It sits underneath a chemical plant. Yet for those who live here, if you can describe it as that, there are no basic amenities. There are no toilets, there is no running water. In fact, the nearest tap these people have access to is around about 1 kilometre away. Yet what they do have is the knowledge that they will be left relatively alone by the authorities because they have been told to come here specifically to stay. This is, to all intents and purposes, a state-sanctioned slum. Down the road, a day centre provides food. They seek help in the shadow of a World War II bunker. The cruel irony here, it was war at home that brought many to this place. Makeshift mosques and deliveries of bread bring a sense of community to a group of people from many nations with the same aim, to cross the channel, whatever it takes.
We get a constant new stream of refugees. We get about 20, 30 new people every day. And sometimes 20 go to England every day and sometimes less, sometimes more. This winter there were quite a few that managed to make it into the UK.
For each ferry that leaves Calais laden with cargo, it is impossible to say how many stowaways are on board. Many will deliberately disappear once they get to the other side. This short crossing represents a new life, a dream realised, a nightmare left behind. They have nothing to lose trying. Phil Lavelle, Al Jazeera, Calais.
Now to take a look at the weather. Temperatures today will reach a high of 26 degrees Celsius or 79 degrees Fahrenheit. We can expect a light breeze of 9 miles per hour from the northeast. In our weather summary, today will be partly cloudy with a modest chance of some brief passing showers. There is a high chance of cloudy skies and showers later this afternoon. Tonight and overnight we'll see cloudy skies with a high chance of showers, some of which will be heavy at times. Sunrise tomorrow will be at 5:54 a.m. but not before the sun sets today at 6:27. The weather brings us to the end of ZIZ's Midday Newscast. Join us this evening for the details of these stories and more in our major newscast. Thanks for tuning in. I am JD Keynes.